everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Pri here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Married at First Sight. This is season 13, I believe, and it is episode 6. Now, this is my first time reviewing this show. I wanted to review it sooner, but I was reviewing another show that came out on Wednesdays, and I didn't want to put too much dip on my chips, so I decided I was going to finish up that show, which was BT Presents the Encore. If you guys like that show, check out my reviews of that show, and I was going to start on this show whenever I finish with that. So that's why I am just now starting on episode 6. But anybody who watches this show, you already know this season, well, all of the seasons, they're like 24 episodes, so I'm still good. But anyway, the episode, it opens up with the couples being married for 5 days. It seems like it's been longer because it's been 6 episodes and not much has happened in the 6 episodes, but only 5 days of marriage. And it opens up with Zach and Michaela. Also, I am going to be going in order of the episode, just because I was gonna do it by couple, but I kind of have a lot to say about each kind of scene almost, or kind of each topic, so I'm just gonna go in order, the same order that the episode went. Anyway, Zach and Michaela, I feel really bad for them. I really do. The last episode, I was thinking that Michaela was really selfish for the stuff that she was saying, you know, saying that she wanted to be married, and you know, her husband got COVID, so now she can't have no honeymoon. And I do feel like it is some selfishness. Honestly, I get it. Like, you wanted to have fun with your husband, doing all the couple stuff, and it sucks that he got COVID. And so their honeymoon was cut short. I also was thinking, like, if that were me, I would stay, maybe get a room down the hallway, around the way. But knowing them, they were not going to stay separated. I do not believe it. I think if she would have stayed, they probably would have came together in some type of way, and she would have gotten COVID, and then they both probably would have had to stay in quarantine in Florida, probably longer than the other couples, because I don't know how long the honeymoon is, but like if Zach was there quarantining for his 10 to 14 days. Okay, when Michaela first tested, she was negative. That means she probably would have gotten positive, and then her quarantine would have started, you know, days later. So they probably would have ended up being in Florida like another 2 weeks after the other couples. So really, their time being married would have been cut short by 4 weeks instead of the 2 weeks. And not being married, but yeah, I know what I mean. As far as doing the whole couples thing, it would have been 2 weeks with them not doing, you know, all the stuff that the other couples are doing. So because of that, I see why she went to Houston. And it probably was not her decision. It probably was a show saying like, hey, we don't want to have you guys quarantining for a whole month because you couldn't stay separated. So we're going to have to separate you guys. That way, Zach could only quarantine for his 2 weeks. And then once he's free, Michaela is already negative, and then they can come together and they can resume their marriage experiment. That's my take on that. If it were me, I would have wanted to stay. I probably would have gotten COVID. I probably would have risked it all to stay with my husband, and we would have quarantined for a whole month. But overall, I still really like Zach and Michaela, and even though we know Hurricane Kate is coming, I just want them to work out. I do. I'm hoping they hit the extreme rough patches and Michaela goes to therapy she sorts out all of her anger issues and all of her outbursts and temper tantrums. They come together, and I'm just hoping they decide to make it work. I just really like them. I don't know if it's the black love in me or what, but I don't want them to split up. I just don't. Moving on, Myrla and Gil talk about the whole last name change. I think when it comes to the last name change, I'm more traditional. I decided to change my name and I didn't think much of it. With them, it may be a cultural aspect onto it. Also, she did mention wanting to keep her last name in memory of her dad, and I completely understand that. I think that is something that they can compromise on. I put in my notes actually for later on that Myrla, she's going to have to compromise on something. She is so rigid. It seems like everything has to be her way. She's not willing to bend or anything. And they're not going to work. I mean, I got notes on them, but at the end of the day, they're not going to work. Moving on to Johnny and Bao. Now, the snoring is obviously a major insecurity for Bao. I'm kind of with Johnny. It is, I guess, at its surface, it's very small, trivial, but to her, it is a big deal because she got bullied for it. And so I'm not going to, downplay how she feels. I'm not going to invalidate her feelings. I definitely understand her insecurities. We all have them. I'm also going to say that anybody who knows me knows that I'm going to get my sleep. That means if I'm snoring, and I am a wild sleeper, if I'm snoring, if I'm hogging the pillows, if I'm hogging the covers, if I'm hogging the bed, which I am told that I do, I'm going to get my sleep. Okay? If you are disturbed by how I'm sleeping, whether I'm snoring or whatever, that's on you. But I'm going to get my sleep. So, you know what? Another thing I wrote down. Bao tells Johnny that she's very attracted to him, which is very cute. You see him light up like a Christmas tree. He's cheesing, he's blushing. But then she also tells him that normally physical intimacy happens fast. And I find that very hard to believe. She comes across as being very calculated. For people who normally goes to intimacy fast, that normally happens because of impulse. That's normally like in the moment, I want to do this, so let's do it. She doesn't strike me as that person at all. And later on in the episode, Johnny speaks to that when he says, like, I want you to live in the moment. And she even says that that's something that is hard for her to do. So I find it very hard to believe that she is a person who rushes to intimacy fast. Just my observation. Rachel and Jose. I wrote down, who doesn't know how to ride a bike? Even though we come to see that girl knew how to ride a bike. Now, maybe she was out of commission, because when was the last time we rode a bike? That's a different story. I haven't been on a bike in, honestly, probably 20 years. But I'm not going to say I don't know how to ride a bike. I'm just going to say it's been a long time. Once she kind of got her feet wet, she was fine. The bigger issue, though, was finances with them. So she was saying that when she asked, what do you want to do before kids? She wants to take big, extravagant trips like going to Switzerland. He was saying that no, we should go to Vegas or something to save money before kids. But then my question to you is this. If you don't go on your big trips before the kids come, when are you going to go? Because when kids come, y'all not going to have time to be going on a big trip. At least, I'm going to be honest. You're not going to have time to take a big trip like that, at least for the first probably 2 years, maybe even 3. I mean, at least 2, just because kids are so demanding of your time, your patience, your energy, your finances. I completely understand wanting to save up for a child. I agree with that. But I also think that before your kids come, that's the time where, if you can, you should take your extravagant trips. I mean, so I see both of them. I think they both have valid points, but I'm kind of siding with Rachel more on that one. I think that you can save for kids, but I don't think you should limit yourself to taking a trip in Vegas when you can take a trip out the country to Switzerland. That's my opinion. Ryan and Brett. Now, I really, really like Brett. Brett is actually my favorite character this season. I think she's very grounded, very level-headed, very reasonable. I relate to her in a number of ways. I think she is beautiful. I love her red hair. I love her style. When she fixes up, I just like Brett. I really, really, really like Brett. With that being said, I really, really, really do not like Ryan. Something about Ryan rubs me the wrong way, and I feel like, why were they matched? They seem like they live 2 completely different lives. I'm going to get more into Ryan later on when I talk about their adventurous outing that they had. I don't like him, and I don't see why they were matched, and I feel like Brett deserved better. Brett made a really good point when she was saying, like, first of all, when they were talking about the political differences at the end of the episode, I agreed 1000% with everything Brett said, but I will get to that too. I read in my notes, everybody's not an adventurous person, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to go kayaking and skiing, and people don't have to do that stuff. Like, why is it that people act like you ain't doing nothing unless you are risking your life? Like, it's okay. Find stuff to do that she likes to do. So far, I'm only seeing them do stuff that he wants to do, which is that adventurous stuff, and she's not into it. And then when they were in the water, God, what was the name of that animal? I didn't write it down, but the name of that animal, like, she was really scared, and he kept saying, look at it. I want you to look at it, look at it. And she was like, no, because I'm gonna freak out. She's trying to stay calm, and I'm with her. Like, any animal that can potentially kill me, I don't want to be around. I don't think it's fun, and no, I don't want to look at it. That's me. I relate to her in that way. And so to be like, look at it, basically taunting her, she did not want to look at it. So let it go. And like, that's not fun. Like, do something else. Oh, God, I do not like that guy. Anyway, Johnny, let me go to Johnny and Bao. The conversation that they had. When Johnny expressed to Bao that she doesn't live in the moment with him, and that he feels like she overthinks things when they were in the hammock. When they were in the hammock, I loved the way they communicated with each other. I loved that Johnny was straightforward. He said exactly how he felt, but he didn't do it in a mean way. He wasn't offensive. And then I liked that Bao was very receptive. She was very understanding. I feel like the way they talked about that and handled that, it was refreshing, and I was able to take a lot of notes in how I communicate in relationships with people. I thought that was a really good thing to show, people communicating about problems that they had and just how they were able to talk about it, understand one another, and move on from it. I thought that was very, very refreshing. On to Rachel and Jose. Rachel and Jose, they look really good together. I know Jose is kind of short and he's kind of insecure about that, but I think they make a very good looking couple. Jose mentioned that he has a basically perfect credit score at 815. That is a great credit score. The whole money management conversation. Now, I don't have a problem with what Jose was saying. He basically said, let me pay the bills first. Take out the money that's going to go in the bills first, and then whatever is left over, you can take for whatever it is that you need. Now, I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I think the hurdle is going to be Rachel relinquishing the control of the finances over to Jose. That's going to be the hurdle because she's independent. And then the way Jose said it, I understand he wants to be the provider. He's great with money, so he feels like he should take the lead. He just said it so like aggressively and kind of like, I'm gonna do this kind of. It was a take charge tone to it, which can be a turn on. It's a fine line. It could be a turn on. It can come across as controlling, and he came across as just very aggressively. I think it was a better way he could say it. Now, him actually doing it, I think is a good thing, you know? If he's better with finances, she's already admitted that she's not, then maybe he should kind of not take control, but take the lead of the finances. I just think that maybe if he rewords it, she will be more receptive of it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. And y'all know what that elephant is. At the dinner table, Gil basically admitted that he voted for Trump. Now, I cannot shame anyone for their political affiliation. I have to respect that. First of all, politics should not be discussed at the dinner table. For this very reason, things get very heated, but I understand this is a TV show. I understand that they are all trying to get to know one another, and so politics was going to come up eventually. Now, Gil said verbatim, politics should not divide a house, and I agree. In an ideal society, politics should not divide a house. Back in the day, you didn't even know who somebody voted for. It didn't matter because it didn't change anything. But today, it changes something. And not necessarily when it comes to conservatives and liberals, even though they do have core differences. Trump supporters are their own segment of, they're their own political party. And being with a Trump supporter, I have to side with Myrla on this. That is a hard stop for me. That is a deal breaker for me. I cannot be married to a Trump supporter. Married. If those experts had matched me with a Trump supporter, I would have been on that plane headed back to Houston with Michaela. Like, no. That means married. I would have to actually listen to them, follow their leadership on things, be their wife to a Trump supporter? Absolutely not. And as you can see at the table, Ryan was eating it all up. He clearly voted for Trump. Gil said, hold on. He said he didn't vote for him because of who he is, but what he has done. He feels like he passed laws that helped him, and so that's why he voted for him. First of all, he didn't pass those laws by himself. Congress passed those laws. He's just the president. And then also, since you want to say that, he is the president. That is his job, to help get laws passed, to help the people of this country. So he did what a president is supposed to do. But even with that, Myrla made a really good point. It's not just about me. It's not. If you only vote because somebody did something just for you, what about everybody else? I cannot vote for someone who hurt my people, meaning marginalized people. I just can't. Like, that's not something I can do. Like, I feel like he said he voted for his actions, but not the man. But I feel like the man is his actions as it relates to anyone, any person, any political person, no matter what political party they are with. The man is his actions. If a person has done actions to hurt my community, like, no, I just can't get with that. I cannot get behind someone who has the KKK rallying for them. The person who has the KKK in his back pocket. Do you really want to be on the same side as the KKK? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. And as much as I dislike Myrla, I have to side with her. Like, no. Anyway, moving on. Before I get all heated, Brett and Ryan, they're not gonna work. Because Brett, she made a really good point when she was saying, like, it's about your core beliefs as a human being. My core beliefs do not line up with that man, with the beliefs that he chooses to verbalize and create a platform for. I just, they're not gonna work. They're not, no matter what she says. I know in the preview for next week, she said that she has a crush on him, but in the end, I don't think Brett and Ryan are gonna stay together. Let me ask you guys, question for you guys in the comments. Let me know, would you be able to date someone who is a part of the opposite political party as you? I already gave my answer. It's a hard no for me. It's a no for me. But drop down in the comments and let me know, would you be able to not date, but marry someone who is a part of the opposite political party as you? Let's go on to, I already said I don't like Myrla. It's not that I don't like Myrla. She's just not very likable on this show. I'm sure her friends in real life, her coworkers, probably think she's a very nice person. But she said she's not open to adoption. How could you say? I wouldn't even say that. Not out loud. No. Moving on to the shower conversation. Basically, Bao was saying that she would have different depression episodes, and so that's why it would be very difficult for her to shower, and I can understand that. I'm not going to shame her for that, but I will say this: I personally feel like every day you need to shower at least once. And if you've been sweating and you stink, then you should shower twice. Me, I can't even go to sleep if I'm dirty. I just can't. So I personally feel like everybody should take at least one shower every day. I'm about to start moving on, y'all, because after that, this episode didn't give a whole lot more. Rachel is concerned that they won't consummate the marriage. To that I say, if you do not consummate the marriage, then you are not married. Moving on. Once we get down to the end of the episode didn't really give a whole lot. It gave a bunch of nothing. Myrla got the cookies for Gil. That was really sweet. But she still needs to be more flexible, and she needs to give more and be more willing to compromise. The whole dog situation. Now, I understand her saying that she doesn't want a dog, and now she feels like this is a responsibility that's on her that she did not want. And I think that she could compromise. She could have at least said, I do not want to walk a dog, but I am willing to maybe warm up to the dog and see how I feel. And maybe every once in a while, when I go on a jog, I will take the dog out with me. That would have been a nice compromise, but she flat out said no. And then, you know what? If a person says no, you do have to respect that. I just think she is extremely rigid and not willing to compromise at all. I already said everything Brett said at the end of the episode. I completely agree with. And Rachel and Jose, Married at First Sight always wants to put these opposites attract thing in every season, and I hate it. Rachel is a hoarder. Jose is a minimalist. That's not going to work living together. That is not going to work living together. Now, I'm not a hoarder, but a pet peeve of mine is a lot of junk being on the bed, especially when I'm ready to go to sleep. So I completely agree with him saying clutter on the counter is a no-go. That means she's just going to be putting stuff here, putting stuff there. He's going to be constantly cleaning up. He's going to get frustrated and tired of it, and that's going to cause an argument. Now, I don't think that's a reason to divorce. I think that's something that they both can work on. I think that's something that they can work around. I think that is something, issues like that is probably common in marriages just because two people live differently. You know, that's pretty common. But a hoarder and a minimalist, that's going to be some maneuvering that's going to have to take place in order for them to kind of make that work. But it can work. That's all I have for this episode. This episode was okay. It gave a lot. It gave a lot in the first hour. The second hour was, you know, we all know the episodes are way too long. But anyway, that is my review of Married at First Sight. Please drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think of my review. Let me know what you think of this week's episode. And I will talk to you later. Bye.